There are a great number of videos I can make about this one topic. By the way, education. So but there are at least three videos I can make on the same topic, including this one. But for the sake of maybe making a shorter video than necessary, but still necessary for other people, I guess. We'll just talk about one thing in general. We'll talk about school in general, and not just school, but actually general education. Actually, for this video, I was instead gonna get into content creation and self employment versus secondary education and workforce arena. So it's like I I think in general, going back to the other thing I didn't possibly want to talk about this video. Shucks for this topic anyways. But I think I got rum rushed into education the way I did, and not just for grade school, but even including college, and even including some of the training I did for my own job, and other things I did, or training for other things I did. I paid for to like learn as a the technical self-employed content creator, I guess. Like even learning for stop motion, all that stuff, if I wanted to, which I sometimes I did, but sometimes I feel like I was rum rushed into school because the way I learned in school, I never saw school as something that I never wanted to be involved in. I never hated school in a nutshell, but I feel like I was rum rushed. I keep saying rum rush. I just say rushed, but I love rum rushing. There's another video I'm gonna make later on about like super senses and why I believe my communication over confidence, why confidence is better than communication. I'll make that later. Um, I feel like basically I was rushed into school because it happens before anything else in your entire life. So you end up being in school before you even know how to decide to be in school or even to feel like it's a good idea. Even after already believing it's a good idea, you don't know how to determine any better because you never know what it's like to be outside of school until you're already out of high school or even college in your workforce job, whether you have a job or not. I mean, that's the funny thing with even the gap year thing. Gap year can be a little facetious because not everyone's gonna be a bum for the rest of their lives, but at the same time, not everyone's gonna literally only use the college degree that they just got to get that next job. They can actually get alternative jobs and use the degree as a backup. I loved. It was my cousin who told me this, like that getting a college degree would be the best case scenario for a backup because then you could just go get another job anyways that doesn't have nothing to do with your degree, and then see if that makes you successful, or even without being like even remotely happy with that, you could just go on getting another job with less restraint on the idea that you have to make based on your degree, which is again what backs up the self-employment concentration thing aspects is that you're not stuck with using your degree to get with your job in that one field that you didn't want to focus too much on because the niche thing. The sad thing, however, is that with content creation, there are people still telling you to get a niche down. And what better does that do as an alternative to schooling and workforce if you're going to niche down either way? It's like, but variety content at the same time makes it hard for people to get monetized and have an audience. So it's like, so there's a catch 22 with everything apparently. But it just, the thing that makes content creation and self employment a little difficult is not just being isolated. And yes, you can get connections either way. You get connections in school. You get connections as a content creator or as a self-employed person. You can depending on the environment and how you network either way, it's a little different for both. Probably drastically different. But like when you network as a content creator and a self-employed person, in my experience, you're alone by default. You're isolated by default. But you network anyways, unless if you know what to do. If you know what you're supposed to be doing at least. With school, it's taken for granted. Full stop. Like in school, in your workforce, networking, even if it's not effective, even if it's not legitimate, even if it's pointless, it's taken for granted either way. Full stop. It's like you just get everyone who's right there in front of you, who's not going to be ideal to you. Even if you don't like them, you can still make it work. It's like as a content creator, if you're like me, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit later, but like if you're like me and you're like alone every damn day, and you don't even know how to justify being a creator or creative, I'll make another video about why I think not everyone not as a anti-creative, why people don't know what creativity is. But for me, it's like you guys are very very better off than me, and I'm the one who's really creative. But like I just because a lot of people know how to network in general. Like they know how to have friends and relationships in general, romantic and platonic and whatnot. They have all the connections, not just as a creator or a self-employed person. But here I am just making a video about school and the self-employed environment, and I'm like, am I even talking to this mic correctly? This mic that I got from someone in the military, I think. They were like they made a joke about the story about this mic here. Is that they made a joke about how I was thinking they were the witness protection program. I was asking them if it was okay to tell them my address information, because personal addresses can be personal for anybody, even if the people who don't value them. Being doxxed is a serious issue, even if you don't believe in doxing like me for some controversial philosophical reason. It's so important to protect your identity, I guess. So I asked him, "Is it okay to be telling?" And it was so fast how my friends arranged gave me this mic. Like it was like, aren't you guys gonna slow down a little bit and be steady and figure out? Let's think about this basically. Like let's not give me this mic before anything else. Revealing where I live. Gave me a $16 mic all of a sudden just because. And the one question he asked me after I asked him, "Is this okay to be doing all of a sudden, or should I be doing this information?" Was, "Am I part? What do you think I'm part of the witness protection program?" Was I a part of the witness protection program? I was like, and the funny thing of him being in the military as a spy, is like, dude, you are a military spy, and you got me this mic as if there wasn't a big deal, and all your friends agree with that too. Your friends are like. Anyways, I'll get in the video talking in a second, but like that's how I got this mic. So yeah, not even talking to this mic properly, speaking too fast, not having a straight posture, not being quiet enough or loud enough in different intervals, not shaving my mustachio, not even taking as many showers apparently. Whoops. But it's like not cleaning my room, not scheduling these videos in a way that makes sense, not making quality thumbnails for these videos, not making edits to these videos which ensures that they're technically quality content, not making them succinct if in a concise way, if every once in a while, not all the time, making scripts, audio editing, all the things I could be doing as not just a good person but as a good creator, or other way around. It's like as not just as a good content creator but as a good person in general. All those things, if they don't come from school, then where else will they come from? And it's like, well, maybe from experience or from working a job or whatever else, etc., etc. But that's the thing, is that to this day, I do not get nihilism. And I'm starting to understand a little better, because I think nihilism is a bit of a honeypot, and where you, like, every time you mention nihilism, people agree it's a good idea. But if no one ever mentions nihilism, and they start from the basics of people already believing life has meaning as its own default, then people already know how to explain that. But as soon as you bring in nihilism into the equation, it's like, oh, well, nihilism is important, if not the end all be all. And it's like, no, you would never say that if we never mentioned nihilism. You would never say that. You would be like, well, life has meaning right now. Until you bring nihilism, then it does have meaning. Like, what the fuck? But like, that's why I think nihilism can be a bit of a honeypot, because people can explain nihilism best when they don't know it's there. And I don't know how this works, but that's my theory, is that when you don't realize nihilism is a thing, you can explain it the best without even knowing what it is. And it's like, that's why, if you know what I mean, you know. But like, basically, that's how I felt about this whole thing with education and self-employment, is that people who are nihilistic about life, they don't try to understand the things that are unknown, or discovering things for themselves, trying new ideas and things. They don't know what that's really like. And that's why I'll probably get into another video, is about why, as an anti-creative, why I think people don't know what creative really is. Because what I'll probably expand on that video is like for example, Photoshop from Adobe, Premiere from Adobe, the whole 9 yards of what you have to do to be a quality creator, don't rely on luck, etc., etc. And by the way, luck is involved as a creator, full stop. It is involved, but I'll get into that later. But it's like, not just the hard work or whatever the fuck, or niching down our quality content, but like, I shouldn't even be putting that in quotations, but like, I did put the other two in quotations, but they don't understand what it's like to be creative. They actually, like, they'll put a standard on something that actually wasn't supposed to be changed. I understand that there's a lot of things I changed that didn't have to be changed in life to begin with. Like, there are things that are perfectly normal the way they were. They didn't have to be a passion. I'm not going to quotate that again because I wasn't supposed to, because I actually do have a passion in breaking things apart and taking them in. I'm thinking that's professional wannabe fetishing thingy. Professionalism wannabe fetishing. I'm going to say that again. Professional wannabe fetish. But like, yeah, people don't know what it's like to be creative. They think that doing things normally the way they're supposed to be done and not breaking them apart and just leaving them alone is the way to live life. And even if that's a rule, even if that's a law, That's not living life. And it's just, I could not, and this sounds irrelevant, but I could not stand how people who brought in, these very like ancient, I'm not gonna call them dinosaurs. I'm sorry, but I was gonna say that they were experienced veterans, but including the old people, not just old people, but like experienced people in life, whether they're younger or older, or younger than me, or older than me, or the same age as me. I think it's funny because comparing myself to my peers, younger, same age, and older than me, it's like I think of this too, especially. But like it's just, I'll compare it to this in a second. But like when they have the experience that life can be meaningful, and they still use nihilism as their excuse to tell you something else that isn't relevant to that, but I'll be the one who makes that relevant, forces relevancy. Then yeah, of course that's gonna make sense to me. But how do I explain this? It's like people do not know what it's like to live, and so what's the point? What is the point of the economy that the self-employment and content creator lifestyle and all the things you can do, stocks, selling, drop shipping, all that? What's the point of putting a dichotomy between that and having an education in school and college and workforce and being commissioned and all that as a work labor, career, degree, or whatever? Why is there a dichotomy? Like, I mentioned that at the beginning of the part of this video, but why is there a dichotomy of that? Why is there like a web ebb and flow thing? Because they're not much different in that regard, because I know people on both ends that were just as shallow, like where they don't know how to be creative, they don't know how to give life meaning, and even if they don't have to concede that the way I am right now, they don't know how to make it where you know that the things that you're doing or not doing, because there's a big insightful thing about that, choosing not to act is action itself. Insightful psychiatrist once said that one time. It was pretty cool. And I read it in an old magazine, but old Elders magazine. But when you can actually live life under the terms that matter to you, you could still have an education. You could still be a self-employed content creator. You could still be in the workforce. You could still have a degree. You could still pursue academia as a PhD, or you could even still be a drop shipper or a stock seller or whatever else. I'm not saying that these economies aren't here for no reason. It's just that I don't understand when people come from. It's like where people come from. It's like they're not trying to be real. Like they don't give the real raw aspects of creativity a chance. They don't give the chances to things that could have actually expanded their life better, like law of manifestation, or law of attraction for anyone else out there. Well, like manifesting their life, asking how they manifested something, asking how to improve things. Even if self-improvement is his own fetish, you need to ask yourself what you're supposed to learn, not just what you need to learn.